Life has a strange way of teaching us lessons. The more we try to control every outcome, the timing, the reactions, the details, the more frustrated we become. We push harder, plan tighter, and cling to results that were never truly in our hands. But what if the real power isn't in force, but in letting go? If this message resonates with you, comment 1 to show you're ready to shift your mindset. 1. Attachment and the need to control. Suffering life becomes heavier when we cling too tightly to outcomes. The more we try to control every detail, the timing, the behavior of others, the way events unfold, the more pressure we place on ourselves. This constant gripping creates stress, anxiety, and frustration because we are demanding certainty from a world that never guarantees it. Attachment is the root of this tension. When we expect things to go exactly as we imagined, any deviation feels like failure. We begin to believe that if we just push harder, plan more precisely, or force circumstances to match our expectations, everything will finally fall into place. But this approach only tightens the inner knot. Instead of moving forward, we become trapped in a cycle of overthinking, fear, and disappointment. The Stoics understood that suffering arises not from events themselves, but from our insistence that reality must obey our desires. Trying to control what is not ours to control turns life into an exhausting battle. True peace begins when we loosen our grip, accept what is beyond our reach, and focus our energy on what we can genuinely influence: our mindset, our actions, and our response to whatever life brings. Letting go is not weakness. It is clarity. It is recognizing that resistance creates pain, while acceptance opens space for growth, calm, and wisdom. 2. The real battle happens inside, not outside. When life feels overwhelming, most people assume the problem lies in circumstances. Difficult people, unexpected setbacks, shifting outcomes. But the Stoics believed that the true struggle is never out there. It is always within. What drains us is not the world itself, but the way our minds interpret and react to it. We often try to change situations that aren't meant to be shaped by force. We push against timing we cannot alter, demand behavior from others that is beyond our influence, and chase outcomes that don't unfold the way we expect. This inner resistance creates exhaustion. It fuels overthinking, insecurity, and emotional turbulence because the mind is fighting battles it cannot win. The real work begins when we redirect our focus inward. Instead of trying to control what is outside our power, we strengthen our ability to respond calmly and wisely. This is where clarity forms. When the mind is steady, the world feels less chaotic. When our thoughts are disciplined, external uncertainty loses its power over us. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind becomes unstoppable when it refuses to be disturbed by things it cannot change. Inner mastery gives us stability in unstable moments and confidence in uncertain circumstances. The external world may shift, but a trained mind holds its ground. 3. Focus on what you can shape and release the rest. The moment we stop trying to manage the uncontrollable, something powerful happens. The mind becomes lighter. Instead of wasting energy on outcomes, timelines, or the behavior of others, we redirect that energy toward what is truly ours: our thoughts, our choices, and our effort. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Stoicism teaches that clarity begins with understanding the limits of our influence. You can't force opportunities to arrive faster. You can't make people behave the way you want. You can't bend reality to fit your expectations. But you can decide how you show up, how you think, and how you respond. When your attention is rooted in these internal actions, frustration fades, and a sense of inner stability takes its place. Consider how different life feels when you stop demanding certainty and start building resilience instead. When you accept that you cannot control outcomes, you begin to move with confidence rather than anxiety. You take purposeful action, not desperate action. You stop overreacting to things that don't matter and start investing in things that do. Epictetus taught that we become unshakable when we keep our will in harmony with nature, meaning we act with intention but accept results without resistance. This doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means directing your strength where it counts, allowing life to unfold without internal chaos. In this space, discipline grows, peace deepens, and progress becomes natural. 4. When you stop forcing, life starts to flow. There is a quiet strength that appears the moment you stop forcing life to follow your script. When you release the tight grip of expectation, you create space for clarity, timing, and opportunity to enter naturally. This is the paradox the Stoics understood centuries ago. The more you chase control, the more life resists. The more you allow things to unfold, the smoother the path becomes. Letting go is not surrender, it is wisdom. It is recognizing that life has a rhythm of its own, one you cannot dominate through pressure or fear. When you stop demanding that everything happen now, you begin to notice the subtle openings, the unexpected turns, and the hidden advantages that only appear to a calm mind. Think of someone trying desperately to impress others. Their energy feels heavy, tense, almost frantic. But the person who is grounded, composed, and unattached to the outcome naturally draws people in. Not because they try harder, but because they allow things to flow. This same principle applies to work, goals, relationships, and personal growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you do what you must and accept what follows, you move through life with strength rather than struggle. When you stop resisting the timing of events, your mind becomes free to adapt, to respond, and to grow. You begin to trust yourself instead of fearing the unknown. And in that trust, life starts to align with far less effort. Room 5. Real power comes from mastering yourself. At the heart of every Stoic teaching lies a simple truth. Real power is internal. You don't gain strength by bending the world to your will. You gain it by mastering the way you think, interpret, and respond to what happens. The world will always shift, people will disappoint, plans will change, and circumstances will evolve. But your inner world, that is where your true control lives. When you stop anchoring your peace to external conditions, you become unshakable. Success no longer depends on perfect timing. Happiness no longer depends on how others behave. Confidence no longer depends on outcomes you cannot guarantee. Instead, everything begins to come from within: your discipline, your clarity, your emotional steadiness. The Stoics believed that the person who masters themselves is stronger than the person who conquers an entire city. Why? Because self-mastery can't be taken from you. Once you learn how to regulate your reactions, detach from what you can't control, and choose your perspective with intention, you carry your strength into every situation, no matter how unpredictable. Life will still test you. Challenges won't disappear, but your relationship to them will transform. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop fearing uncertainty and start navigating it with calm determination. And slowly, something remarkable happens. The world outside may stay chaotic, but the world inside becomes quiet, centered, and powerful. In mastering yourself, you unlock the freedom that control could never give you. The freedom to remain steady in a shifting world. When you look back at all of this, the letting go, the acceptance, the patience, the mindset shift, and the power of self-mastery, it becomes clear that life was never asking you to control everything. It was asking you to control yourself. The moment you release your grip on the things you cannot shape, your energy returns to the one place it always belonged: your own mind, your own actions, your own growth. This is where real transformation begins. Not in forcing outcomes, but in aligning with what you can influence. Not in chasing, but in becoming. Not in resisting life, but in moving with it. When the internal world becomes steady, the external world stops feeling like a threat. And that is the essence of Stoic freedom. Calm in chaos, clarity in uncertainty, strength that does not depend on circumstance. If this message helps shift even 1% of your perspective, make sure to like the video and subscribe. It takes only a second, but it brings these teachings to more people who need them and keeps you connected to the wisdom that strengthens your mind day by day. Stay present, stay grounded, and remember, master yourself, and life follows.